Greetings, PK here, and this is the first of what I hope to be many videos. I have been a programmer for a long time and have quite a bit of experience that I'm going to try and put out here on the web in the form of a number of videos. This is my first attempt at recording really anything, so I'm a little nervous, so please be patient with me as I work through the technical glitches involved with recording. I'm going to try all sorts of new stuff for me for the first time here, all in one video. I've got a green screen, I'm going to do screen captures, and I'm going to try and narrate along. The goal for this particular video is to install Cloudera, which is a Hadoop cluster management software using DigitalOcean. I'm going to give a shout out to Matt Bailey at NerdNuts. The link is in the video description. I found an article that he wrote a couple of years ago on how to install Cloudera on DigitalOcean. I've personally been using DigitalOcean for a number of years as a server base for a number of applications. I've recently started doing big data development, and so it seemed appropriate to try and put the two together. And I learned a lot from Matt, including a few things that need to be updated. So I'm going to put it all together here, put it out there. The goal of this particular video will be to install a 4-node cluster of Hadoop out on DigitalOcean. If you're not familiar with DigitalOcean, I highly recommend that you check them out. I am not associated with DigitalOcean or Cloudera or NerdNuts or anything in this. I'm just a guy who's into this kind of stuff and want to put out there a quick tutorial. If you find this useful, leave some notes, and if you find it really useful, I may try and do this again in the future. Let's see if this works here. I'm going to try and move myself down to the corner. Woo. All right. So a few things sort of preliminary setup here. I recommend that you get an SSH key set up with DigitalOcean. We're going to set up 4 servers out here on DigitalOcean, and it's so much easier to work with them if you're not dealing with root passwords and trying to mess around trying to log in that way. Of course, I don't want to show any of my signatures or anything, even though you probably couldn't do anything with them. But here's a screen capture of what my SSH keys look like. I've got a few of them, actually, because I got a couple machines that I work with. Plus, I log in occasionally with my iPhone. So follow the instructions that DigitalOcean has out there for setting up SSH keys. You actually set them up on your local machine first and then upload your public key to DigitalOcean. So if you follow their instructions, you should be all set. So that's really the only preliminary thing I've set up here. I've tried to zero everything out, including my account, so that I don't have any droplets out there. I made backups of everything and shut them down because nobody needs to know what I've got out here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up 4 servers. The reason that I'm going to be setting up 4 servers is this is really the minimum number of servers that you can have to have a full Hadoop cluster. The first server is going to be the main server. That's where the manager is going to run. That's where I'm going to run all my interactive scripts with the Hadoop cluster. And then the other 3 machines are going to act as data clusters. And these are going to be the places where the data would be distributed if this were a real cluster. A couple of housekeeping things here. What I'm going to be demonstrating is a bare minimum cluster, not meant for production use, and certainly not secure. This is a great way to get started, get something up and running just so you can kick the tires on Cloudera. But don't use this for a long term, and please don't come back to me if it does weird things. This is strictly for educational purposes. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off by creating a droplet. Now, don't get too scared of the prices here, because the prices they're giving are if you were to keep this thing up and running for a full month. This number here is more important. That's how much it's going to cost an hour. You do get charged a bare minimum of 1 hour. What I'm going to do is set up one 8 gig machine here, and then I'm going to set up my data nodes. All 3 of those are going to be smaller, these $20 nodes. Not that it really matters. I've been doing everything off of New York 3. I'm going to continue to do that. The examples that I had seen said to set up private networking, and they proceeded to not use any private networking whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and check it because that's the way I've been doing it through all my demos up to this point. even though it's kind of silly because I'm going to be using public addresses for a while. But like I said, this is just for a demo. This is intended to be built, tried, and then destroyed. First server I'm going to call Hadoop 1. Now, this address doesn't exist anywhere in DNS, so if you were going to go ping it, it doesn't exist. But one of the first things I'm going to do is get this set up on my local machine as just a local local file, local DNS. So we're going to create this. While that's loading, I'm going to create 3 more here. I'm using CentOS. I'm going to use the $20 machines here. I'm going to keep it on the same data center. I'm using the local key that I have to find in this machine. And I'm going to create 3 more droplets. And this is where DigitalOcean is pretty cool. 2.paulkimbrell.com. Automatically filled these 3 in for me as I was typing. Really enjoy that feature. Makes life a whole lot easier. Now, everything I'm doing I can also script. Probably in a later video I can show how I've actually scripted this whole thing so that 90% of this happens automatically. Once these get done, then I've got to do a little bit of housekeeping in order to be able to get into these machines from my workstation here. Tick tock, tick tock. I will be shortening up all the parts where we have to sit and wait. Let's refresh that. I should have an IP there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it into Notepad here. Let's see, that was 1, 2. This is just going to make my life easier later. 3 and 4. All right, there we have the 4 machines. Now the first thing I've got to do is I've got to take these and put them into my local hosts. So let's get a new terminal going here. Maybe. Please. Note to self, have this open ahead of time. All right. So we're going to edit my hosts file. Theoretically, there's nothing sensitive in here. Now, for Pete's sake. All right. Well, nothing really of consequence here. Yeah. I wish I knew Vim. Insert. No, really. Go to the end. Stop beeping. All right, we're going to paste this in to the end of my hosts file. Write that. What's with the caps lock? All right. So now I should be able to ping these machines. Yay. Even better, I should be able to log in as root. That's right, root. Like I said, not secure. Sure. Permanent. Something about a failed login already. Yeah, that makes me feel secure. All right, first thing I've got to do is I've got to edit the host files on all of these machines. So I'm going to do that. You also want to get rid of any line on the machine that references itself. That just makes the installation go a whole lot smoother. So smooth, in fact, that if you don't do it, it doesn't work. All right, so we're going to write that out. And now we're going to actually, you know, if I were smart, I should have put this short name in. Did that work? Yes. Good. Hosts. All right, so we're going to get rid of the local reference. Insert. And yes, I have scripted this, but I'm going to show the long version first. Get rid of you. Get rid of you. And last but not least, yes. All right. And with that, all these machines now know about each other. Awesome. So let's go back to Hadoop 1. Oops, root at Hadoop 1. You have to put that root on there, otherwise it'll try to log in as whoever you're logged in as. And you don't want that because you don't exist. It's going to ask me again, isn't it? Yeah, because I switched the name. I'm awesome. All right, now we're going to download Cloudera. I'm going to put this link out in the description as well, although by the time you see it, it'll most likely change. I'm installing Cloudera version 5. And now I've got Cloudera downloaded. Now this is just the base installer. It actually downloads a lot more stuff. Again, turn on the execution flag. Oh, again with the beeping. All right, now we're going to run it. Blah, 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 blah. Firstborn, blah, 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 blah. Life savings. Do you accept? Sure. La, 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 la. Soul. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. They already have my email address. And this is the part where I speed it up. And we're back. All right. So the base installer has been installed. This will tell us here that we can go to this web address in order to get to the rest of the installation process. It does take a little while for this to come up, so we'll head over here. Hadoop 1. Hey, look at that. It's like I've been here before. And it's not up yet. So we wait. How about now? No, it's not ready yet. It's simmering. Percolating even. How about now? Still not ready. Computer science is fun. About now. Yay, we've been accepted. All right, the login is admin. The password is admin. Not secure. All right, again with the firstborn in my soul. Something about the house. I like free, so I'm going to pick free. All right, here's all the stuff that we can install. I'm primarily interested in Apache Spark because that's really what got me into all of this. So we're going to install all the way up through Apache Spark, but that's after we get the base stuff installed. So here, like the turkey that came out of the oven already cooked, I've already pre-typed all the hosts. Now this is why we had to get the virtual hosts, not virtual hosts, but all the host names into the Etsy hosts file, because each machine has to know how to ping the other machine in order to pass data around. This is the beginning. This is where the main machine has to be able to get to the rest of the other machines. So we're going to search for this. If I did the hosts right, yay, check marks. Otherwise, you're going to end up with red marks over here, and that means you screwed something up. And don't feel bad, because I've done that like 15 times, and I got it wrong. All right, now it's going to give you lots of options. My recommendation, first time through, don't select any of them. I'm actually interested in Kafka. I'll probably come back and play with that later. The way Cloudera manages this, more giving up my children or something here. I think they want me to install Oracle. Go Oracle. Live pro tip. Do not select single user mode. If you do single user mode, which is actually a good thing because it means things aren't running as root. Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I haven't really figured that out. But all I can say is that if you select single user mode, this is the point where you click this question mark and you go do a bunch of other work. And work is hard, and I didn't get into computers to do work. So I'm just going to hit continue. Now, when you set up those SSH keys for DigitalOcean, you can use that here. So the main machine has to have some way of being able to access the other machines, right? It's going to try and SSH over to them. So you could put in the ID and password of each machine, but there is no password if you used an SSH key. So I'm going to choose a file here, and this is where, oh yeah, I got all sorts of junk on this hard drive, don't I? The only downside is that file is safely tucked away in my SSH folder, and I can't see that here, and I suppose there's going to be no easy way to go to it, which is why I'm going to go off screen. No, really. I'm going to go off screen. Why did I even bother? That's not what I want to do. Screw it. You can see it. Let me go back to my machine here. Copy to here. Again, not secure. Don't do this for very long. All right, let's come back here. So I'm going to pick my my private key. That's right. I'm uploading a private key over HTTP. Not secure. All right, and once I do that, then I should have, yeah, there's no password because it's not secure. Now it's going to start uploading everything to these machines, which means I'm probably going to do that video trickery again. All right, we're back. And actually, it's been quite a while since I hit pause there because it seemed to get stuck, and I had kids to put in bed and a few other things. So we're finally past that initial installation. So now all the nodes have at least the starting point. Doesn't have everything yet. So we're going to go on to the next page here, and then we get more stuff. So another hurry up and wait. So I'm going to hit the pause button here, maybe do a little video magic, make it go faster, and we'll be back. Okay, it appears that it is done distributing everything. Now we get the dancing little blue lines as it unpacks and gets ready to activate. And we wait. Okay. All right, so now on the next screen, we're going to inspect and make sure everything is working. This is the part where I kept getting stuck because I forgot to remove those local host lines from the hosts file. So if you remove those, then everything should be good. These are warnings that I'll probably worry about some other time, like when I do this for reals. All right, so now we're going to go through. Here's where we get to choose what all you want to install. So depending on what it is you want to be playing with here, if you want to play with Impala, or if you want to play with HBase or whatever, maybe you just want to play with Core Hadoop. I'm going to do Core with Spark. And we continue. Now, this is a screen that those who know what they're doing, which is not me, would be able to go through and say, you know what, we're gonna have a bunch of hosts, and we're gonna have HDFSs over here, and we're gonna have a bunch of nodes over here for Hive, and I don't know. There's all sorts of different things you can do, and I played around with some of these things and really sufficiently messed everything up, and so I'm going to say, don't touch anything your first time out. Just leave it as it is. So we're going to hit continue. My favorite part, test the databases. All right. We're not going to test the databases. All right. Continue. All right. We're going to review the changes. Again, don't touch anything. Continue. I can tell you from personal experience, I touched everything and I just broke everything. Oh, right. So this is the part that takes forever because I have to, it has to go through and deploy everything to the various clusters and get everything started. And that just takes forever. So again, I'm going to fast forward through this part. Still waiting. Hey, there we go. All right. Now, we're going to continue. Congratulations. This is the magic screen, the screen I longed to see after 15 attempts of creating servers, destroying servers. All right. So we're going to finish up and behold a cluster. Of course, I love the fact that even though I've done nothing on the cluster, I already have health issues. What are you going to do? All right. Now, voice of experience here. I can tell you that the memory configuration here doesn't work. If I try to use Spark at the moment, things blow up. So I learned the hard way that I need to bump the memory in Yarn. How do you bump the memory in Yarn? Okay, well, let me cycle back here. All right, so if you ever need to get back to the home screen, just click on this Cloudera manager, right? I'm going to click on Yarn. And if you don't know what Yarn is the thing that manages all the resources across these servers, for lack of a better whatever. And we're going to go into the configuration. Now, Cloudera Manager makes this almost a non-issue. I don't know how big of a deal this is because I've never done this manually. This is my first foray into big data. So, but I'm still impressed. So I'm going to do a search for memory. And stuff happens, and I can tell you that there are 2 numbers in here. I don't know which one I really need to change, but I changed them both as a result of doing math. I really hope this number's right because I'm trying to do it from memory. Yeah. So we save that. Save the changes. And then we're going to go back to the status page. Really, you can go anywhere, but I'm just going to go back to the status page. By just switching the pages, it'll say, hey, stale configuration. You need to push this out to all the servers. You go, manager guy, restart the services. Blah, 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 redeploy the configuration. Do it. And we wait. Ooh. My level of enthusiasm has gone down tremendously since I started. This has taken a lot longer than the other 5 successful attempts. Yay, finish button. All right, so we're going to finish. We're going to go on. Now we've got enough memory. Now we're to the good part. The part where I can actually do stuff. And you can see I was trying to figure out what was going on in that machine. So I'm already on the machine, in case you forgot how we did that, because Lord knows I did at this point. Hadoop 1. And yes. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here, just to test the waters here, is I'm going to toss a file up here. Now, I'm going to do it. How do I want to do this? Now, I better do it through here. So what I'm going to do, I need to find a README file. I need something with substantial size. So let's see here. GitHub readme.md. I'm take anybody's README file here. Anybody. How about this? Can I see? No. How about Cloudera GitHub? They have a README file out here of some variety. How about you? I pick Hue. That's who I pick. How about this README file right here? I like it. Let's take this right here. Raw file. Just give me the goods. I'm going to select all of this. All right. Now I'm going to put this into HDFS on my cluster. And I could do this as root, but that's a terrible idea because it's just a terrible idea. So I'm going to do an SU HDFS. Now what am I doing here? I'm running the super user command, which super user command, if you're not root, will make you root, and you have to put in a password. But if you are root, in which case right now I am root, and I run the super user command, I can log in as anybody else, and I don't believe any passwords are involved because you're root, and root's awesome. So now I'm HDFS, the user HDFS, so that when I put things in HDFS, this is kind of like the root account of HDFS. And at this point, I don't need complications in my life. I'm going to do a CD, which puts me into the root folder of the HDFS folder. Now I'm going to edit the readme.md. I'm going to hit I for insert, and then I'm going to paste. Zoink. Escape. And then I'm going to colon WQ. I'm just going to write that out. And so behold, readme file. There's the whole thing. Now I'm going to do Hadoop fs -put readme.md. Now that's going to put this file into HDFS in the root folder of the HDFS dude. I don't know if it worked. I'm going to be explicit here. I'm going to send it to user HDFS readme.md. No such file or directory. This readme, please. I wonder if that first one worked. And you know how we're going to find out? We're going to use Hue. What is Hue? Hue is a file browser for HDFS. So Hadoop 1.paulkimbrell.com:8888. That's right, 4 8s gets you Hue. How do I know that? Because I Googled it. The first time you log in, you got to give it a username and password for the godlike account for Hue. I'm going to call it Hue with the password Hue. That's not secure. Don't do that. All right, and then we're going to go to the file browser, assuming it doesn't come up and tell me how to use it. Okay. And now I'm in the Hue folder. I don't care about the Hue folder. I care about the HDFS folder. So I'm going to go in there. Stink, it didn't work. Fudge. All right, we're going to push user HDFS Hadoop fs put in the HDFS folder. Oh. Well, that worked. Did it? Huh. Well, good. Okay, so I left off the name of the file, just put it in the folder where I wanted it. So said right here, this readme.md. I want to put that up on the file system under user HDFS. The first command should have worked. Whatever, it's there. Okay. I don't script these things. All right, now we're going to start Spark. Spark shell. And yes, I'm starting Spark as HDFS because that way I've got access to HDFS because I don't like complications. Complications are complicated and make things complicated. And I don't want complicated. I want simple, which is why I'm doing big data, right? All right. So we're going to fire up Spark, and we're going to use a massive 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? 8, 6, 14, 8 plus 6, 14 gigabyte cluster to count the lines in a README file. Big data in action. All right, so var f for fun. Spark context is sc dot text file. User HDFS readme.md. Now, why did I put the whole path in there? I probably could have just put in readme.md and would have worked. But I want to prove that this is getting from HDFS. So I'm going to use an HDFS folder. Please work. Now, at this point, I'm not going to know whether it worked or not because the way Spark works is you go build a function. This function's already built for me. I'm going to run count. But what it does is it takes the function and actually ships it to the nodes, plural, nodes, where your data is at. And actually executes the function against the data where the data lives, which is pretty cool, especially if you have 1 billion records. Not so cool if you've got 80 and they're all in one record. But hey, this is just a demo, so we're going to run count. Now, this would be the point if I find out if the file doesn't exist. The fact that I see this is a pretty good indication that we're in good shape because it would have pooped out by now. We're halfway through. 181. There you go. All of that work to count the lines in a file. Not the most efficient way to do that. But now I have a system, right? I can go out there and I can load billion, 2 billion records or whatever. And I can start building map reduce functions and start reducing that down to the really good stuff. Let's see here. Let's do let's just Google here. Spark. No, really, Spark. Word count. Scala. Let's find some sample out here. Quick start. That's a good place. Right there. All right. Start the Spark shell. Read the file. I've got it in there. There's the count. Give me the first line. Lines with Spark. All right. So what we're going to do. Well, okay. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put that in a text file. Yay. All right. So we're not going to do the count. Not going to do the first. Then we're going to do the lines. Put that into another RDD. There's so many words at console. I guess that's okay. All right. And we're going to filter and we're going to count how many lines contain the word Spark. Yeah, sure. Why not? Survey says. So now we're reading through the entire file looking for the word Spark. Using the most powerful engine in the world that I've put together. One line. Really? Spark. Indeed. Look at that. One line. Where's the word count? I want the word count. More in RDDs. We're gonna map text file. Okay, here we're gonna do a word count here, or how many words have line A or word letter A or whatever. Okay. Let's see. I did a thing. We're gonna import math. Okay, I can do that. I can import math. Yay! I did a thing. All right. Now we're gonna do mapping lines, splitting them into words. I'm not entirely certain, but I think I just split everything into words. And I'm going to do a word count using A's and B's and stuff and things. And then I'm going to collect them. And well, if I'm reading this right, I now have a map. Thankfully, Spark was very nice, and it didn't dump the entire thing to the console. But here's the word test. It says it's in here 4 times. According to this, there's 14 times. Oh, but I want the whole word. Just test. Okay, bad example. Another word. How about apps? Let's look for that. Apps. There's 1 line. 2, 3. Let's just assume I don't know what this code's really doing. But hey, I'm mapping and I'm reducing and I'm doing fascinating things, and I'm sure RBC will be. I'm going to ignore that stuff. But there you go. Hadoop on a cluster. Few interesting things here. I've got all sorts of warnings here because I only built 2 gigabyte machines. So why did I pick the sizes I did? The main server I put 8 gigs, and on the node servers I did 2 gigs. And I did that because I had a hard time getting all the main machines up and running, all the main applications up and running with only like 2 or 4 gigs. I think the Matt Bailey version, he was running Cloudera 4. And he was getting away with just firing up a 4 gig machine for the master host. 8 gigs now. I've also concluded that really the data nodes need to have 3 gigs of memory, which is not an option, right? I've got 2 and I got 4, so really probably should have done 4. But of course, running these servers, let's see, if I did the math right, it worked out something like $200 a month. Nah, it's not real feasible, but still, it gives you an opportunity before you go out and invest in a bunch of machines. If you want to build a quick cluster, do something with it. And then the best part is that when you're done, yes, I spent all that time building it just so I could do this. You can then destroy it. And all evidence of everything you've done up to that point is gone. Bye-bye. Again, I scripted this and did it in 1 line, and it was awesome. And I'll put it in another video. Other things that I've done out here, I've installed Zeppelin, though I'm not 100% certain that I actually got it hooked into Spark correctly. Zeppelin can actually run Spark on its own. Next up, I'm probably going to be working on some sort of database where I can actually start to load some real data in. And eventually I might actually get some dedicated machines, but at least now I know how to run the setup before I go and invest in a bunch of physical machines. Yeah, DigitalOcean, Hadoop, Cloudera. Hopefully I get this video down to less than 10 minutes because some of those wait times were ridiculous. But still, all of that, and I think I spent 25 cents. Not bad, huh? I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was an interesting experience making it. If this is something that you find useful, please leave a comment, and I may do something like this again in the future. Thank you. I'll see you around.